What up, y'all? I'm JT, Chef Tickles, the Alaskan Sniper. I'm here with your boy, Chris Easy, Deuces -1, Chris Evans.
What up, what up?
We're joined here with our man, Big Daddy, the boy himself, Faraz Sani.
What it do, baby?
DB, the assassin, Sharp Knuckles.
How's it going?
And let's get into it. This is Hoop Session. What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 19 of Hoop Session. Chris, DB, what up? But Faraz, we got to get to you, big man, the big 3-0, the birthday boy. How you doing, homie?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you. I'm
Good,
older
good.
and wiser, man.
Yeah, that's dope. I was going to ask
sure.
you what's some advice for us, man. All of us are turning 30 this year. We all graduated from the same high school and all that. So what's some advice, man? You're the first one to hit 30 for us.
Yo, enjoy your 20s while you can, man.
Shit, I got 6 more days.
I'm telling you, it's different on this side, man. Enjoy it. Nah.
Yeah, amen, bro. DB, what's up with you, man?
Nothing, man. Nothing much, really. Just living. We actually just celebrated Faraz's birthday this last weekend. We chilled, actually. Didn't do anything at all. But, yeah, it was, right, Dr. Bonnie Henry? So
We didn't go anywhere.
We didn't go to Whistler at all. But, yeah, no, we just chilled in Whistler. There's nothing really to do or anything, but we just kind of just hung out, had dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been pretty chill, man. Other than this frustrating start to the podcast today.
Yeah.
Not being able to put audio for the first half hour or so. So
Yeah, exactly.
we're getting into it.
The technology makes all this possible, but it's also fucking super frustrating sometimes as well, right?
Yeah.
Chris, you been watching any of the games?
To be honest, not really. I've watched the Celtics games here or there, but it's mostly been football the last couple of weeks just because of playoffs and whatnot. So that's where the focus has really been. So
Straight up, and
can't
your boy
complain,
Brady.
though.
Your boy
Yeah.
Brady's back, right?
Back to the Super Bowl number 10, baby. Let's go.
Yo,
That's crazy.
Chris, before we start, I have a
Never gone.
question. I have a question for you, Chris.
Shoot.
So you know how you're always about, the franchise is great and everything about that. It's always the franchise, not the player.
Yeah.
So in this instance, how do you feel about like Tom? So is Tom Brady greater than the Patriots franchise? Like, is he actually?
Tom Brady is the Patriots franchise.
So-
Wow.
Oh, okay. So the Patriots are nothing.
But I thought-
now.
What?
I
Right.
don't
This past season,
understand.
they're not nothing. They're just another team. Like they're whatever. Like I've lost
Brady
lost
won.
interest in football. I'm happy for Brady. I'm happy for the kid, man. The kid's got to 10 Super Bowls.
Jackass.
The kid, the 40-year-old man.
The kid.
No,
Okay.
but, yeah, that's actually a good point for us. That's a very good point because
Yeah.
when it comes to basketball, how Chris usually argues things is based on, you're right, like based on franchise, like the actual franchise means much more than the player. But for football, you got to weight it the other way around. So
Not really. Like as if the Patriots were playing the Bucks in the Super Bowl, it'd still be go Patriots. But just since the Patriots are done for the playoffs, I'm rooting for Brady just because I like the man. He's been 20 years with the Patriots.
no, then that's full respect.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
full respect.
Yeah,
You
that's
said there,
full respect.
Yeah. But
He
I thought you meant
made
that-
the
yeah.
Patriots what they are.
Yes.
So he was a much bigger piece than the system or the coach or.
Well,
Robert
everybody
Kraft.
sort of came in together at the same time when you're in the team for 20 years.
Yeah.
Everybody's sort of intertwined. It's not like one player goes for 4 years, makes the team, and it bounces.
Yeah. Yeah.
They also weren't fucking scared to make trades at any second with like even their starters too, right? Just whatever
no,
Brady
franchise
needed around
just-
them.
They were the San Antonio Spurs, right? Essentially.
Exactly.
Right.
Perfect.
They just yeah.
But
Perfect
I'm
comparison.
very happy he's proving that it's not just the system.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, Kawhi proved that too, right? The year he
Yeah.
went, he
Yeah.
won a championship with Toronto as well, right? So let's see if Tom Brady can do that and replicate, right? I think we're all kind of hoping that. I don't know. I'm putting words in your mouths, but I feel like watching that Drew Brees and Tom Brady matchup, and then just watching Tom Brady just elevate his game again. Just like, man, this guy, he is by far the GOAT in my opinion now, especially after this season. He's just like proving more and more how much of the GOAT he is.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible to watch, man, because like we're not going to really get to watch that kind. I mean, there's guys like Mahomes that might want to make a case later on in our when we're 40 or whatever that they had that kind of career, but yeah, man, it's crazy to watch.
Yeah,
it's crazy to watch.
But Mahomes is already getting fucking rocked, man. Like if he keeps that up for a few years, who knows? Like Brady is also a phenomenon because he can go for however many goddamn years he's been in the league.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I said when we're in like our like mid 40s, then we can be like, if you play another 15 years at this caliber, then yeah, sure. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
then he's. But otherwise, man, it's crazy. It's crazy because he. Yeah, you're right. Like you already see it with Mahomes. I don't know how he cleared concussion protocol. That makes
Exactly.
no sense.
No chance he was
Absolutely
okay,
no sense to
man.
me. How does that happen? Like it doesn't
Stem
make any
cell
sense.
to the brain.
Dude, NFL, man. NFL.
Oh man. But let's jump over to hoops. Chris, something I really noticed from the past little bit, especially while Tatum's been down, is Jaylen Brown really stepping up. So have you noticed that big leap from him, and you think he's going to be an all-star this year?
I think Gordon Hayward leaving really allowed Jaylen Brown to shine because they were basically the same position. Just Gordon had a few years on him, and he had that experience, and Jaylen was still like not the rookie, but still the younger guy on the squad. So now he has a chance to prove it, and especially I think now with Tatum having been out all those games, it's been quite an eye-opener to see how good Jaylen can actually be. He definitely should be in the running for most improved. All-star, I think for sure. Dude's averaging 27 a game.
Yeah.
So I think all-star for sure he should be. I think he should be considered also in the all-NBA, but that's obviously a stretch unless he plays like that the rest of the season, which I think with Tatum coming back now, I don't know if it'll be consistent enough to stay in the all-NBA rankings, but if he does, it's quite an accomplishment.
That's the all NBA is tough because I would say he's up there for like an all NBA, all defensive as well. Like he's one of those top tier defenders as well. Faraz, have you been seeing JB rise up at all?
I've been mainly just on highlights, man. I've been I haven't been able to watch like full games, but I've been able to go on League Pass at least and watch like highlights every night.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Honestly, I've been saying for the past 2 years, I thought that they'd be trading JB. And like his value has been getting higher and higher, and as it gets higher and higher, I thought they would still like get rid of him, just so because Tatum's there. I'd like to be honest, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what their game plan is. I really like the kid. I like how he plays. He's so aggressive. He seems to have that tough mentality where he doesn't give up. He's shown this year that his shot's actually like not bad. If he can
a mid-range shot.
Yeah,
Unreal.
exactly.
Yeah.
Unreal. If he can kind of get the 3-point percentage like a little bit higher, and if he can get a little bit more consistent in creating for himself, maybe like Jason Tatum can a little bit, then fuck, I don't how much of a difference between the two can there really be then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think? Are you saying like you don't think they can coexist, Tatum and Brown?
I personally think for the team to like truly flourish, one of them would have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DB, what do you think about that?
I also am on the camp that I think at some point they got to get rid of Jaylen Brown. I think his stock is just so high right now. Like honestly, I think they could get a lot for him. I was just also trying to watch some highlights right before this earlier today, and one of these guys, I don't remember what his name was, but he was talking about how there's only 2 or 3 players in the entire league that you would trade Jaylen Brown for. I found that extremely hard to believe. I mean, like if you could get that kind of player for him at this point to match up with Tatum I think you need to. Like Brad said, they can be good together, but when both of them are on like max contracts, right? And they're kind of playing the same they're not playing the same position really, but they are at the same time. They're the same kind of player. At some point, they're gonna need to get someone else in there, right? Like maybe a big man to pair up with Tatum. Would be amazing. Like obviously a stretch is never going to happen, but well, I mean Drummond could happen. But I was thinking like an Embiid. Like if you can get some like a guy like Embiid,
a big man that can create
Tatum,
like a Adebayo, like a Bam. Bam would be perfect player for that team.
Oh my god,
yeah, Bam would be great.
Man, the thing is with JB's contract too. He signed 4-year, 115 mil at the start of the 2019 season. So his contract's very tradable as well. Like he doesn't he's not on that 5-year, 180, 5-year, 200 contract. Like his contract's still very
Yeah.
tradable, and his value is way higher than his contract, I think.
Well,
Oh man, for sure.
what do you think you could get back that's like a good return? Like if I'm Boston, I'm not trading him unless I get like an absolute all-star.
Like a Bam or a Drummond, I think. And you need a big man that can be. Like
I wouldn't trade him for Drummond.
For
like,
Bam, yes. Drummond, you'd have to get
for Bam.
else.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Of course, yeah, I would. But for Drummond, I wouldn't. And Drummond, it's like a hot commodity right now. Who knows where he's going to land? Right? There's like every team.
Drummond, and if you could get Drummond and like a couple pieces, a couple picks, maybe or something like that. Yeah, but yeah, one for one, it's not. I mean, Jaylen Brown still has way more upside, right? And the league
younger,
is obviously, and the league's just moving away from like the big man anyway, right? Just slowly but surely, it's going to happen.
Exactly.
What if they go the other way and they go get a guard like McCollum, like CJ McCollum and something?
But would CJ be all right running the point guard when you have Kemba already?
Yeah, I'd rather have Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. And I honestly think watching a lot of Celtics games, like even before Tatum went out, I think Jaylen Brown and Tatum can coexist. Mm-hmm. Yes, they play the same position, but you can put Brown at the 4, Brown at the 3, Tatum at the 4, and then just spread out your bigs and point guards. That you should be fine. It seems like it's working already.
But to what extent can you ask Jaylen Brown to sacrifice? Right? Like how long can he keep doing that for Tatum?
Yeah, but that's to the point where okay, one person has a hot night, sweet. The other person chills for a bit. But I think the fact that both of them are homegrown and the fact that we drafted them, they've grown up together in the Celtics system. I think it's not like one came from another team and went from a bigger role to a smaller role. They all flourished in the same role, same coach, same like pieces around them, really.
Yeah.
So I think like just watching them play, like you can give it to Tatum, ball out. He can ball out. You can give it to Brown. He can ball out. And it's just they seem like they do coexist quite well. Nobody's ego is higher than the others.
Yeah, yo, Chris, you're right, and I think it works out right now. But as both of them develop more and more, and they become like real like all stars, like perennial all stars that are like top echelon, like exactly what happened with OKC to me, right? Like those guys grew up together too. They were homegrown, right? Harden, Westbrook, and Durant. They were, but they all kind of needed their own team at some point. And they didn't even play the same position, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, I feel like if Jaylen Brown is who like you're saying he is, and who a lot of people think he is, that he's going to be like an all-star, all NBA type player. Then man, at some point he's going to want the ball too, right? Not want the ball, but want him to have his own team. I don't know.
I think they'll stay together until they win a championship, and then if they win a championship next 2 years, I think one of them is going to go, and I think it'll be Brown.
That's
that's a team's decision, right?
If they win,
But realistically, they're not going to win in the next 2 years.
You never know.
It's going to be hard.
You never know, man. You never know, right?
Unless
it's going to be hard.
Yeah, they could easily be one trade away. LeBron
or KD
but
Boston.
But do you think, JT, do you think even with one trade right now, like even with one good trade right now, do you think they're like favorites to win it?
Well, I'm saying like a trade like the Harden trade that just went down. Like you never know what the fuck's gonna happen, right? Like if Giannis gets injured and they trade and get Bradley Beal, then it's like okay, yeah, they're like one of the favorites probably. But you never know what's gonna happen. But I think with Jaylen Brown, like I see him as like a Klay Thompson role. Like, do you necessarily think, did Klay sacrifice to win those championships? Not necessarily. Like I think ego-wise, he'd be okay with like, hey, you're the shutdown defender. Like obviously Marcus Smart's there, but like you're the shutdown defender. Obviously go get a quarter, like when Chris, like you said, when Tatum's like not having a great night or whatever. But I think ultimately if championship is like a realistic goal, I think he's okay with not being the first offensive option. DB, like you said, if he goes on to be all NBA, if he's like a Paul George type level, yeah, that's a different story. He's going to need his own team. But I see him as like Klay, as like a ceiling.
That's like you said, Klay's a homegrown player too, right?
Compliment. Yeah, that's a huge compliment. Yeah.
I like that comparison, but you know, at least Klay like has that. Like I see them a little bit differently though, because like their game is different. But at least like Klay is considered one of the greatest shooters of all time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, more so like in terms of how their role on a winning team could be. Obviously, their play style is a little bit different, but Klay obviously has one of the wettest shots on earth. But he had that luxury of but he had that luxury of Steph on his side. Hey, go guard the best guard, and you're gonna get handed 6 to 8 open threes a night. Like JB, okay, same kind of thing, but he can just be in a different role, right? He can maybe sneak baseline and get a couple of those easy dunks or something like that. Staying on the East, Faraz, what do you think about Gordon Hayward this year? Jumping over to the Hornets, playing really well. The Hornets are, I think like 4th in the East right now. Do you think Gordon Hayward will be an All-Star this year?
Ooh, he gets counted as a guard, right, or a forward?
Probably forward. Yeah, probably a
forward. That might be a little tough for him to make it to an All-Star team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say he'll be a close one.
He should be in the conversation, right? Like he's playing really well.
If he continues how he's playing, then because nowadays it's only 50% fan voting and 50% it's coaches, right?
Something like that.
So it's coaches or media members or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna lean towards maybe I'm gonna lean towards him making it actually.
Yeah. I just see the fact like he made like a decent jump in terms of role from Boston to Charlotte, but also all the eyes that are on Charlotte Hornets games, right? If LaMelo never got drafted there, I think no, he doesn't. But I've watched several Hornets games. Like I could never say that before this year, but it's just because I wanted to see LaMelo, and it's like, oh, Gordon Hayward comes out, drops 28, and hits one of these random like game winners. It's like, okay, people are watching him, right?
Yeah, I think he got a little unfortunate that he got lost in Boston, just because there's 2 guys who are like clearly better than him, I guess.
Yeah.
And younger, and that they're just the focus of the team. And he was also injured. Like, it was just a unfortunate situation. And I like the fact that he's showing that, he can still be the Utah Gordon Hayward, like when he was like like a very good player. Like, it's nice to see that. I mean, I want to see how his veteran leadership kind of shapes that team. It'd be nice to see, and like if he's going to end up staying there long term. But I'm impressed with him so far.
Yeah, well, he's getting paid, so I think he'll be there for a while. DB, you got anything to add? Gordon Hayward?
Yeah. You guys were talking about Gordon Hayward he's on the Charlotte Hornets, right? We're talking about the same team here, right?
Yeah.
Because I think they're like 12th in the East right now.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Man. So like they're
12th.
I'm thinking about something else.
Because when I was looking at this earlier, that's exactly what I thought. I was looking at his stats, and his stats look really good. But if they're not going to be like a top 4, 5, like maybe not even 4 or 5, maybe like even a playoff team at the very least, I don't think he's going to go to look for that. So,
well, right now, Cavs and Knicks are in the playoffs, so you can assume that they'll probably drop just, after you play the whole season. Orlando's in 9th. Toronto's in 10th. You would imagine they'll be in the playoffs. So yeah, they should be fighting.
Heat aren't in the playoffs either.
Oh, the Heat, yeah, exactly. With Jimmy
so
out,
there's a bunch of teams that are going to still have to come up too, right? So
and
they're not looking too good to make a playoff. Like they might not. They most likely won't make the playoffs even in the East.
They'll probably play-in tournament. I think they have to be in. Yeah. Chris?
Yeah.
Like All-Star break is what, in March this year?
Yeah.
So it's like these teams have like a month and a bit to catch up to get into that playoff seeding. Like, do you judge what's it called? The record based on it for a player to be an All-Star? Like with the Heat being so shitty this year, would you put Bam as an All-Star still or no?
I personally would go about who are the best players. But I don't necessarily think that's how the teams actually get chosen. But,
with the Wizards being trash, would you have Beal as an All-Star?
Yeah, I would. I think he's one of the best players. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's also different. If you're like a Gordon Hayward stat line, even right now, I don't know what their stat lines are off the top of my head, but I guarantee Gordon Hayward stats are better all through. Still, right?
Than Beal?
And I think he's going to get more fan votes. So I think like both ways, I think he's still going to be more set up to make it to the All-Star game. But and I think like a guy like Russell Westbrook just almost always gets a nod out of nowhere. So he's still like
fan votes, man.
Guys like that are most likely just going to get it. They're vets, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe Gordon Hayward still, maybe he does this year because he is playing so well. But I think they still got to be competitive. I don't know.
Well, I'm looking here at the standings, right? And New York's in 8th. So like, in your guys' opinion, DB, like, is Julius Randle more of an all-star right now than Gordon Hayward, just because of his team
I think
success?
so.
Yeah.
No, I think even stat lines alone, I don't even know, but like I feel like he's putting up like numbers day in and day out.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think
And then,
I
like-
think he deserves it. And sorry,
Like
JC, I
Cleveland.
was going to say like,
Yeah.
my bad. I also always love when like it's a first time All-Star. I think they get more love that way too.
Yeah.
Right? Because Gordon Hayward has already been an All-Star. I don't think he like needs to validate that. Right? But
Good
like
point.
a guy like Julius Randle making the All-Star game is huge. Massive.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, good point. Like, I see Cleveland here as well. I doubt they'll get an all-star. It would be Drummond, if anybody, but I don't think they're going to get one.
I think Sexton
Orlando,
has a chance.
no, maybe more so like in the most improved if he keeps it up, but I don't think he has a chance to be an all-star. And then like Orlando, Vucevic not playing very well, so there's another forward that drops out. Anyways, it'll be interesting to see. Just kind of a random thought I had. DB, talking about MVPs, I've noticed the two kind of the best centers in the league, Embiid and Jokic, are just absolutely playing out of their minds right now. Like Jokic is pretty much averaging a triple-double, and Embiid is pretty much giving you 20 and 20 a night, or 20 and 15 a night, or 40 and 15.
Yeah,
so within those two guys, would you have either of those guys as your MVP favorite right now? Or if not, which one of those guys do you think is like has a better chance?
Okay, so I've just been looking at stats alone and highlights. So I haven't been really watching these guys and how they're like leading their team to a W, to be honest with you. So that kind of helps a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But just looking off stats alone, like Jokic is putting up like ridiculous numbers.
Mhm.
If he's a center that almost or does average a triple double throughout the season, like that's crazy. But Philly's in number one right now. They're like the number one seed in the East, right?
True. Yeah.
They're playing really well as well. So I don't know, man. I looked at this a little bit before we jumped on today, and I would still lean towards Jokic because those numbers just look really crazy, like a triple double. When Westbrook did it, it was ridiculous. But a center, for some reason, like with the assist, it's even different to me.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't know, man. I got to watch more games, to be honest with you. I've been into football and the UFC and work and everything else other than basketball lately for the past like 2 weeks. But
fair enough,
yeah,
man.
it's hard to make a decision there.
So if you had to choose today, who's the MVP of the league for this season?
I would just have to look at the top seed. So it's Philly for me because that's how they're going to look at it at the end of the year as well.
Yeah.
And the Lakers. So it's
for me,
LeBron or Embiid. That's how it works for me, man. That's how they usually do it as well.
Yeah.
Right. If you really look at it like consistently throughout the years, they kind of look at who's at the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think we were all expecting a bigger season from Luka. I was at least. Dame, they've had some injuries over there, but again, nothing so spectacular that you would say for sure he's the favorite. And then, like you said, breaking down those top seeds, it's usually one of those guys who's on the top seed. Giannis is kind of same old. I would pretty much say there's no chance he's getting it. And then between Jokic and Embiid, I look at who else is around them, right? My personal opinion is LeBron. I think he's putting up that kind of season where it looks really good on his career. If we can kind of end this one with like another chip, an MVP, like it would just look really good. The NBA probably wants it that way. But Jokic, I feel like, has the least help around them, right? Embiid has Simmons and Tobias. Like they just got Doc Rivers, like an unbelievable coach. Whereas, Jokic has Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. is probably his next best player, who dropped 30 the other night. But based on that, and like you were saying, who controls the game? Embiid is absolutely unguardable, but Jokic like truly makes your team win, I think. So I would choose LeBron right now, but I think Jokic has a better chance there. Chris, you got anything to add?
Do you think the case for against Embiid would be he's sitting out games as well?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's going to be sitting out quite a few games going throughout the season. And then
it depends,
Jokic hasn't sat out, I don't think, this season once, even on a back-to-back. So I think that should maybe take a little, what's it called?
Yeah.
A part
That'll
into
factor in.
It
That'll
could. It
factor in
depends
at the
how
end of the
many,
season,
right?
Depending on how many. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Exactly,
what,
Jason.
72 games? right? So if
Yeah.
he plays less than 60, maybe, right? If he's playing 58 games, maybe something like
And
that.
also just think of how much coverage Philly's getting compared to Denver. Like everybody's looking at Philly. Embiid's a very vocal person, very outlandish, whereas Jokic just comes in, drops triple-double, walks off the floor, and just chills.
Yeah. Hits the shot to go to overtime, and then he's just like, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Get ready for overtime. Good shit. So kind of going in a dark direction, I guess, but it definitely needs to be said. Today's the first anniversary of Kobe, Gianna, and the other 7 people who passed away in the helicopter crash 1 year ago today. So I think, it never left any of our minds. We're obviously huge basketball fans, all of us, and I think it affected us all. I would say I probably still think about it every day. Me and Sarah have a thing where we always happen to catch the clock at 8:24. It's just like a thing where, it's always top of mind. So as a first kind of way to go through this, let's go as like a where were you moment when you found out. And then obviously you guys can kind of say whatever personal thoughts you got on it. But Chris, where were you when you found out?
I was just sitting in, what's it called? In my place, just getting ready to watch the Pro Bowl, actually. So that was on the Sunday. Me and my buddies went out that night before in Toronto. So it was just literally, like a lazy Sunday, scrolling Twitter, just TMZ, like Kobe helicopter crash. I was like, no fucking way. There's no chance. No chance this is real. And then like scrolling a bit more, and it's starting to pick up momentum. And I'm like, hey, there's no way TMZ made this like joke be such a reality, And then all of a sudden, just bang, like it's all these like high end news coverage, and then people are tweeting out about like, oh, it actually happened, like prayers up and all this stuff. And I'm like, holy, this can't be real. And it was literally like, didn't care about anything else on the TV. Like I called my dad, I called my brother, and like, yo, did you hear the news? Like, I guess we all talked in the group chat too. And it's like, no fucking way, stop lying. Like my brother, like huge Kobe fan. And he was like, yo, stop messing around. Like, it's not funny. Like lying about, like joking about that's not funny. I'm like, oh, I'm dead serious. Like this is happening. But yeah, it was very like the rest of the day was very somber. Like went to play basketball that evening at like the neighborhood court indoors kind of thing. And then my buddy basically broke his ankle and on that same night. And then we ended up in the hospital. Chilled in the hospital till like midnight, 1 a.m. to like be with him while his ankle was basically turned in half. That was the first day. Like I had to put a mask on because of Corona. Like it was all hospitals were being extra careful. I was like, why do I have to put this thing on? Like this is weird. And now it's an everyday thing. But yeah, that was a eventful day for sure. Sad day.
Yeah, horrible. DB, how about you, man? You're a massive Kobe fan.
Yeah. I was hanging out with, I think I was hanging out with Sharon. I'm not sure what we were doing, but I just thought it was fake. And I kind of just put my phone away and pretended like it wasn't real. I didn't actually admit that it was real till like, I think the next day. Cause just like, I'm like, until like the actual, like it's 100% sure. Like they know it's him. Like, I don't even want to jump to conclusions like that. I don't know. It was just so, it didn't feel real for almost until this year.
Yeah.
Like the past few months, like for it to be like another year, like to think about it that way. I think we all still think about him a little bit because he influenced all of us a little bit. I think he influenced more people than we actually think. Anytime anybody in any office shoots a piece of paper into a trash can, you hear Kobe. Like you still hear it. It's just one of those things where he, as much as I think all of us wish he was here because he was going to influence the game and the future of the game so much with a lot of these guys that we love in the league right now. He got to go out, as a boss. He never, I always say, I know this is going to sound weird. I always say, I never want to get too old where I need to get taken care of or I can't do the things that I used, you know what I mean? That I used to. He never had to go through that, right? He was a boss on so many levels. He left and became a boss in making, film or whatever, and then he was gone. But yeah, I think he's still in all of our thoughts at some point or another. So
straight up, yeah. Chris?
100%, man. Yeah, I was at work in the car when I think when I first saw the report, and then I'm like, I obviously didn't believe it, but I don't know, man. It's weird. I think that was the most I've ever cried for someone I don't personally know. Yeah, like someone who I really shouldn't, if you think about it. Like, you know, I don't know how, like, but like legit, it's as sad as it sounds. It felt like a piece of like my childhood died, I guess. Like, because I guess he was such a big part of all of our childhoods. Like playing basketball, always trying to like imitate who he was. Like he was my favorite player for the longest time. I don't know, man. It sucked. It really was like dark for like a week, 2 weeks. Like you say, every day like something happens where, you know, I always do think of who he was or his legacy or something Kobe related. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's awesome, man. I think it's crazy that one man can touch, if you really think about it, can influence how so many people think.
Yeah, for sure. I same as all you guys. First time I heard it, I was like, no fucking way. Like, that's just weird. Like that's just mean. Like, why do you joke about that kind of stuff? And then once it started to come out, I was actually same as you, Chris. I was out late the night before. Came home. That was, you know, when LeBron passed him on the scoring list. I stayed up till like 2 a.m. watching that Philly game. And then I slept in on the Sunday morning. And I was kind of in bed, just chilling with Sarah when we saw it. And I was just like, what? No fucking way. What? Sarah's like, what's going on? And I just like couldn't even answer her. Like I couldn't even say it out loud. I like just showed her my phone. And we're like, there's no way. Like, there's no way. Once it started coming out, like, okay, this actually happened. It's been confirmed. My immediate thought was like, oh, Kobe could get out of it. There's some way that he got out of it. There's some way that he was okay or something. And that was like a moment, not for me, because I've been a fan of basketball for so long, but especially for Sarah as being kind of like a periphery fan. It really like humanized these people for us, right? It's not just this guy, you know, Kobe, LeBron, they go out, they get 40 points, that's it. Okay, cool, they're super tall. When I think she saw all like the actual pain that I was feeling from a person that, like you said, Faraz, we don't even know, and for a person that I didn't even grow up liking either. I grew into the game not liking him because, you know, this is kind of like hindsight 2020, but it's because he was so fucking good. I grew up hating him because he was always busting LeBron. Everybody was like, Kobe's better than LeBron. Kobe's better than LeBron. But LeBron was my favorite player. So I was like, fuck this dude. But I think, honestly, if you were to tell Kobe that, like, he would be like, good, I'm glad you hated me. I'm glad you hated me rather than like be a fake fan or something like that.
100%.
Right? Because me wanting to go out and be a better basketball player, to be like LeBron, blah, 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 is because those guys are out there to kick your ass all the time. He's not the most athletic dude. Obviously, yeah, he's 6'6" and he's athletic, but he's not Westbrook. He's not the strongest dude out there. He did what he had to do in terms of work ethic, right? And that was something, you know, our coaches put into all of us in high school basketball, but it's derived from that, right? It's derived from that. No matter how hard you work, somebody's going to outwork you, and there's definitely going to be somebody who's more talented than you, right? So, yeah, every single day, I swear to God, dude, like we somehow see 824 or something to do with that. Yeah. So like I said, I think, you know, he always comes on our mind at least once a day or very frequently. And obviously great guy that is truly missed, and not to forget about the other people that were on the flight. Chris, you got anything else?
Yeah, DB, to your point of how Kobe like went out as a boss, I really felt that as well. When like it took me like a week to fully process like what happened and like write my thoughts down and everything, but also like us right now watching the NBA, like especially when there was fans in and stuff, you see people, legends like Bill Russell or like Kareem or somebody, all showcased in their very old and very like ways you probably don't really want to see these guys. And I think the fact that our memory will never go to Kobe when he's 75, 80 and like can't really move or like in a wheelchair or on like a cane or something. And like in our mind, Kobe is always going to be the Kobe Bryant we knew from our age group. He will never be older than that, which is quite cool to think, because like we'll be 50, 60 years old, and we're still going to remember Kobe as younger than us at that stage, you know?
Prime Kobe.
Which would be, yeah, exactly. Like, obviously, we'd all love to keep Kobe around for as much as possible, but like going out the way that happened, it's like, holy, like this is crazy. We're never going to see like the old Kobe. Like Kobe will always be a like peak performer, like in the best shape ever, like ready to do like just a boss, man. Like that's what's insane to me.
It's almost like a movie, right?
Yeah. It definitely is. And JT, just one more thing for me to add, actually. When you weren't a Kobe fan growing up, honestly, either was I. I never was a Lakers fan growing up. So, you know, I liked like the Pistons with Ben Wallace, and you know, I cheered them when they beat the Lakers. Or I liked the Portland team that had, you know, Scottie Pippen on it and was going up against the Lakers, because I usually didn't like the teams that were favored in, and that's the reason I cheered against them. But I had so much respect for him at all times, even though he was on a team that I didn't like at the time. I always had respect for him, Kobe, and the way he played. He, like you said, he wasn't always the biggest guy on the court, but he was the type of guy that wouldn't take shit from anybody.
Yeah.
And he was there to win. And that mindset, when we say Mamba mentality, I think that'll always be one of the terms that we're going to use. And that's just going to mean being strong and, like, you know, moving forward with your life, whatever it may be. Like it could be used in so many different ways moving forward for us, right? So I don't know. Like he was just such a boss. Like we could keep talking about him forever. Like we can just keep going on this forever.
And like, you know, every so often throughout the year, like as I was just watching Netflix during quarantine and stuff, it was like watching Modern Family. I'm like, oh shit, the Kobe episode, or like watching like Daddy's Home with like Mark Wahlberg, and you're like, fuck, like they go see Kobe. Oh man, it's crazy.
Such a boss. Yeah.
Last thing, DB, you wanted to talk about your friend Mark Calloway, is that right?
Yeah, that's his actual name. Shout outs. Yeah. No, I was actually just listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and Undertaker was on it.
Yeah.
Man, I really wanted to talk about this on the podcast with you guys, just because on the last episode or a few episodes ago, I said something about like, oh, it's fake, just like you want it to be fake, like the WWE or whatever. And one of our biggest fans, one of the biggest fans of the show, you know, one of the guys that watches every single episode, Chevy, you know, shout out Chevy. You know, he messaged me right away. He's like, what do you mean wrestling's fake? You know, like, you know how Chevy is. But no, I really wanted to talk about this because this guy, as much as like wrestling is fake, these guys put their body through so much. These guys are such crazy athletes. He was talking about how he was in the WWF/WWE for 30 straight years. 30 years, man. Doesn't even make any sense.
No.
He had so many surgeries. He was talking about one other thing. 8 years in a row, he wrestled 275 plus times a year.
Jesus.
That's how much these guys do it. It's not just like the weekends that you see. They're traveling all the time and just performing at these little shows all the time. It's crazy, man.
But fuck nowhere in America, right? With like 8,000 people, yeah.
For real, man. It just like opened my eyes, and like as much as like for me, it's as much as it's still obviously it's still fake wrestling. You know, they know who's gonna win before they go in there, right? So it's still fake, but these guys are like crazy athletes. Crazy athletes.
Yeah, I listened to that whole episode. I listened to that whole episode, and it was fucking sick. Like you said, double hip replacement for him, and he still went back and fought and was doing wrestling after that. But like you said, even though you know who predetermined who's going to win, remember his story about his first ever match? He said they're trying to do something where he got tossed off the ropes and he's supposed to come for a clothesline, and he just missed by like an inch, and he got this guy's fist like square to the face. And the guy was like 6'10", like 300 pounds. He just got fucking dropped, shattered his orbital, this and that.
Oh.
Because, you know, for like a amateur basketball player or something like that, yeah, you go up through like NCAA, you don't make it. Okay, you go to like D League or whatever. These guys, like you said, it's almost like backdoor wrestling. It's like you have to do that grimy shit to like make a name for yourself. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And he
I,
remember
Go ahead,
he
JT.
was saying as well, he was debating a professional basketball career in Europe.
before
I'd
he-
love to
he
see
got
those
into wrestling.
tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how tall is he? Isn't he like 6'10" or some shit?
6'8", he said.
6'8".
285.
6'8", 285.
Yeah. And he was saying, he's like, I know I'm very limited as a player. Like there's a peak I could get to, like, you know, a certain type of player. You could tell he was just setting like dirty back screens on guys.
He was a bruiser, bro. He was a big boy
Yeah.
bruiser. That's what he was.
Just
Yeah.
to fuck people up.
Fucking hilarious. And when he was discussing like, oh, how did you come up with the name Undertaker? And he was saying it was all Vince's idea. He's like, all you needed was like some big ass guy with no personality. Yeah.
Yo, he said how he got the name was Vince called, like he tried out or whatever, and they're like, no, we don't have a role for you, F off, right? And Vince just called him out of the blue and basically said, hey, is this the Undertaker? And he said, what? And he's like, are you the Undertaker? Are you going to be the Undertaker? And he's just like, yes. And literally, that's how it started.
Yeah.
And he just explained it to him, like obviously afterwards, like exactly what that means and whatever. But that's how the Undertaker started. It was crazy. But yo, JT, one other little thing that I want to touch up on here is that Faraz actually has a little story here about the Undertaker that he told me before this podcast.
Are you talking about The Rock?
Off the podcast, I don't know, but yeah, he told me about this a couple of days ago. Yeah,
the Rock, right? Yeah. So you guys know The Rock's one of The Rock's signature moves, the people's elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys know how he came up with that?
No idea.
So apparently, me and Danny were talking. So apparently, the Undertaker never laughed, and The Rock always wanted to make him laugh. And if I say anything wrong, correct it. But and apparently, out of all the years that he was there, the only thing that made the Undertaker laugh was when he did the people's elbow as a move. And then he's just like, he found it hilarious, and he's like, dude, it's the only thing that makes this guy laugh, so he's stuck with it.
it's such a stupid move, right? Like
Yeah.
he's running around the cage,
just whip these off.
Rips off the. It's hilarious, man.
Yeah, he said he lost it. He said he was like, I saw him laughing, and I'm like, dude, I'm keeping it.
Can you imagine just being in a room with those two individuals? That'd be fucking terrifying.
Oh my god.
You would laugh too. You'd be like, oh, yeah, that's hilarious.
Dude, I would think they're the funniest people in the world.
Oh my god. Well, the crazy thing is, like, the Undertaker's much bigger than him. He's 6'8". The Rock's what, like 6'4"?
6'4". Their weight is only probably like 20 pounds off, though.
Oh, probably. Yeah. And then last thing before we get going tonight is just I wanted to do another pick'em for a game. We've only done one so far this year, and I got it wrong, and you guys all got it right. So that's cool. So we'll go for a game on Friday night, so we can talk about it fresh on Saturday morning for our podcast. So what we're gonna do is Friday night at 5:30 our time is Nuggets Spurs. So Chris, who do you think is gonna take that one?
I think Nuggets will take that one.
Yeah.
I have Jokic and Murray on my fantasy team, so I'd like to see them do quite well. So I also don't think the Spurs. I think the Spurs are done for quite a bit now. So I think the Nuggets will take that. I don't know, just like not done. Sorry, just not like at peak Spurs like they were going into the playoffs. Like obviously last year showed that too, and then I think they're still in that little scenario where they're not obviously the top in the West anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And I should say it's in San Antonio as well. It's not in Denver. So yeah. Faraz, who do you got?
I'm gonna go with my Spurs, baby.
Yeah, fair enough. So one.
I think it'll be a close game.
Yeah. DB?
Nuggets. I'm gonna go with the Nuggets.
Nuggets. Okay, so we got 2 for Nuggets, 1 for Spurs. Yeah, I would love to go for the Spurs. I like them. I think DeMar could have like a big game against their guards, but Nuggets makes more sense. So I got to go Nuggets.
Yeah. Yo, JT, you could finally tie. You could tie Faraz if you get it right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'll be top dog.
You guys
At
will be
the end of the
tied
year.
for last.
Yeah, we'll find something fun to do at the end of the year or something. It's like the loser in Emerson has to go streaking or something.
And Emerson.
Emerson's
He
just
didn't even
down.
lose.
in.
He's just down. Yeah.
There for moral support. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, y'all.
So,
Anybody
all
else
right,
got
boys.
anything to add?
No,
Take
man.
care.
Great
See
talk
you
to
when I
you,
see
See you
you.
guys on the weekend. Thanks for
Yeah,
stopping
love
in,
y'all.
guys.
Nice to know.
Thanks for stopping by to sesh with us. If you like what we're doing, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell your neighbor, tell your dog. Peace.